Thank you very much, everybody, for your interest in Candente Copper and copper itself. Our mandate and our focus is making discoveries and then delineating and adding value when either it gets built by us or it gets bought out. Our forward-looking statements, you can see this on our website, please. Investment highlights, we're in Peru. It's the second largest copper producer of the world. We have our main project is Cañariaco. Now, Cañariaco Norte is all drilled out for resource and had a lot of engineering studies done on it over the years. Earlier on was very, very large throughput. More recently, we did a PEA to look at starting with a smaller throughput to give us a smaller CapEx, but also to improve some of the ESG aspects, which I'll get into. So what the results of that were in February is a CapEx of just over $1 billion and an NPV of just over $1 billion at $3.50 copper. And then at Cañariaco Sur, so as I was mentioning, the Cañariaco Project has 3 what we think are porphyry deposits. 2 are defined as deposits so far. And Norte's all drilled off. At Sur, we've also drilled 15 holes and already have another 2 billion pounds of copper and another 1 million ounces of gold. So if you add up what we've drilled off into inferred and measured and indicated resources altogether, we've got 14 billion pounds of copper, 4 million ounces of gold, and 92 million ounces of silver. And we haven't finished drilling off Sur, and we haven't put any holes into Quebrada Verde yet. So very, very substantial resource. Now we have third-party validation with Fortescue Metals out of Australia, owns 19.9% of our shares. Most recently, RFC Ambrian and Haywood did some really good research on various up-and-coming copper projects in the world and showed that we're the 10th largest of late stage, and we're tied for 5th highest in grade. So the world's come a long way because, you know, before copper was getting so depleted, you needed above 0.6 copper to be economic. But in today's world, 0.5 is very good, which is what we're at, 0.52. And then Deutsche Bank and Goldman Sachs did some research that's a little older, but also showed we stack up very well, very significant of all the up-and-coming copper projects to meet the demand. So why copper? Well, it's been the most essential metal on the planet for the last 10,000 years. It conducts both electricity and heat, and it's very malleable, so it's an amazing metal. And it's used in everything from what we'll call development pre-EVs, and that's, you know, your refrigerator, your cars, your cell phone. But now, of course, the EV world is causing an explosion, and it's even needed in solar power. RFC Ambrian, here you can see where we show as 10th largest and tie for 5th highest in grade of all the top 23 projects they identified. And then Haywood, you can see where we stand out there quite well too. And this is just Cañariaco Norte, doesn't include the other resources in Sur and potential in Quebrada Verde. Goldman Sachs identified us as the top 10% in price of copper needed to go into production. When I say that, that means the lowest. So that's the key there, is that even if copper prices did drop off, we're going to go in production before a lot of other projects. We're in the northern end of a very prolific belt in Peru that hosts some of the world's largest gold and copper mines and projects. But we happen to be located, I don't know if something happened there. We're in Lambayeque, which is the different region, and 50% of the mining taxes go back to the region. So what that means is our project would be the first time northern Peru and Lambayeque gets the tax base that places like Cajamarca and other areas of southern Peru have had for years. So it makes us very significant to the governments and to the locals. Here you're looking at Cañariaco Norte. You can see that there's no people living where the copper is. There's lots of water in the zone, and it's in the Andes. You're looking at the top of the Andes. You're looking west. The picture here is just with our camp in the foreground, but otherwise that's going to be the Cañariaco Norte open pit. And to the left of the slide would be Cañariaco Sur and Quebrada Verde. Here you can see the highlights of the NPV. So CapEx of $1 billion, NPV at $3.50 copper, also $1 billion, and then move up to 450 copper and you get 1.8. And this is all post-tax dollars. Very significant annual production averaged out over 28 years. Having said that, the way to get the lower capex was to start at 40,000 tons per day and then ramp up to 80 after we get payback. So, and that at 350 copper would be 7 years, at 450 copper would be 4 years. And a nice low capex also. Here you can see the sensitivities to the copper price on the NPV and the IRR. The main thing about the PEA was to get rid of a roaster that we initially had planned for the arsenic. We've discovered that that roaster was built for 4% arsenic, and ours is only 1 to 1.5. But also geometallurgical modeling allowed us to see that we really don't need a roaster at all. So that's easier to permit, but also just less cost and less headaches. So, and then we also looked at ESG friendly. I wanted to see if we couldn't do dry stack tailings. And what Osenko actually came up with is a commingled, co-placed tailings and waste. So no river valleys, no wet tailings. And so it's really dry stack and it's commingled. So it takes up a lot less area. So again, a great improvement on ESG. Here you're looking at the northern circle there is Cañariaco Norte, all drilled off. And then the middle is the 15 holes in Cañariaco Sur. The new plant site is actually just to the west of Cañariaco Sur, and the new tailings and waste facility is to the west of that. So we've really got, you can't see it so much here, and if I had a pointer, I'd show you, but getting things out of the river valleys and away from the population, and just actually it'd be lower cost because everything's much more compact. And then you're looking at Sur from Norte, so again, lay of the land, and where it's flat and dry up top, that's where our plant will be, and then the commingled waste and tailings on the other side of that. Because we're so significant to northern Peru, the central government has committed $23 million for the locals in infrastructure projects to make sure they understand, well, they benefit ahead of time from the taxes that will be paid, but also that they understand what development can do for them, and that it's very much coexisting with their current way of life, which is farming. So why invest in Candente Copper? We have a lot of experience. We've got assets in main mining, mineral producing and mining countries. Third-party validation with Fortescue, Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs, RFC Ambrian, and Haywood. Upcoming, we're just launching into feasibility and ESIA. Feasibility will be about 8 months. ESIA, which will include about 20 of the permits for operation, would take about 1.5 years. And then we can be drilling for resource expansion at Sur and initial drilling at Verde. The team, I'm a geologist, Sean Waller, engineer, Julio Bonifacio, capital markets, Andres Mia and Miguel Anchostegui, very well-known Peruvians, both in the finance world and mining and relationships with government and communities. Our shares outstanding, and we're listed on both the Toronto Stock Exchange and the BVL, which is the Lima. And average 30% of our shareholders are Peruvian. And then you can see where we're sitting with issued outstanding and fully diluted. Fortescue having the larger percent, but management and other institutions and high net worth individuals also very significant. And that's it.